Hey guys, how are we doing? Crypto Insight UK here, bringing you another YouTube video. So let's just have a look at what's going on. Obviously, unless you live under a rock, you will see that Bitcoin's dropped quite heavily in price over the last few days. In fact, in the last 3 days, we have dropped a lovely... If you go to the bottom, we dropped about 14%, 13.6. And if you go to where we are currently, 12.3. People speculate one of the reasons is because of this, which is Mt. Gox talking about that they have repaid some of their creditors. And that's one of the speculations as to why we've dropped. People are talking about the German government. People are talking about the US government selling crypto, like all this sort of stuff. Whether you believe any of that, that's up to you. I think that's all narrative and it often is kind of bullshit. Like I know you can track it on exchanges, and it's open source, and you can see technically they have moved crypto, they have moved it to exchanges, etc. Whatever. Like I think that the market's mature enough and large enough to be able to price that in pre the time because we knew that was coming. So I don't think that's necessarily a catalyst for a sell-off, because I think if the market's smart enough to track the transactions, then it's smart enough to price it in pre. So that's my thought process. Getting on to price action specifically, I'm going to just talk about some leverage, liquidation levels, what's going on with XRP, Bitcoin dominance, and that's about it, really. So I want to keep it short and sweet, because as price action develops, things change very quickly in these areas. First of all, what I want to say is just like, don't do anything rash, like just stay chill. The only thing, in my personal opinion, that you should be doing is buying, and alts are taking the biggest bleed. So best to be stabbing in things that bleed the most. There's a saying that's you should buy the blood, even if it's your own. And in that sense, like if I had cash, I would be. I'm pretty cash poor right now, very cash poor right now. But that's the story for another day. But all my money's in crypto, and so I'm chilled. Like it's my third cycle or fourth cycle. I don't know. Love the markets. I love crypto. This is what we live for. Like it's exciting. It gives you something to talk about. Like I prefer, as I said to some clients, and I don't think they believe me. I prefer it when it's red, because it shows us that price action is going to happen now. Like stuff's happening. This whole area here was boring. You can't. What can you talk about? Oh, we're going sideways and slightly down and slightly up. Cool. But anyway, back to price action. Bitcoin's in that oversold daily RSI now. Now, we have come down for Bitcoin to 53,448. That isn't really any significant support level. So I would presume we probably come a little bit further. My thought process was we weren't going to break this low. And actually what I said to you guys is that it was possible, as we double tapped the low yesterday, that we came into this grey box. If you remember, it's done that, it's taken that liquidity. So I did say that in yesterday's video. You can go and reference me. I said, didn't think it was going to happen, and I hoped it wouldn't, because that would create a higher low or a double tap on the low and be more of a bullish price structure. But now we reassess. So for now, let's go back to the daily just quickly. So for now, nothing's confirmed. We have 16 hours. This candle could completely rip back to the upside, and anything could change in the next 16 hours. So before this candle closes and confirms, nothing really is confirmed. This could just be a liquidity flush from this box here yesterday that I talked about. I'm going to get into that in a second. But I'm just giving you that heads up. But structurally, we haven't really bounced anywhere that's got significant either weak support or heavy support. You would be looking at a bounce in this area here. Where's my rectangle? You'd be looking for a bounce really in this zone. And we didn't quite make it. So that would indicate to me there might be a little bit further downside to go. This is a sort of zone that you would probably see a bounce in if we were going to bounce at this level. And that zone comes in between 52,990 and 50,500. So yeah, that's my first thought process. After that, you can see that's also like coinciding with this level here. So maybe a strong level would be 52,000 flat, basically. And then the next level below that, I would say, is about 48.4. And then we've got some structural lower lows below that. And I'm going to show you But we are on the RSI oversold on the daily. Let's have a look at the weekly here. Weekly has taken a big flush down. Everyone's going to be calling for bear market here. But one thing I wanted to talk to you guys about is that we aren't really that far from the top right now. Now let's say the top's here. We've drawn down about 26.5%. Let's just go back to even the, I don't know, let's go back to this cycle, 2017. Even if we look at this drawdown here, it looks like nothing when you're in a zoomed out perspective. But that's, I think, 20%. Like, it's not 27, but it is 20. That's 20%. 7% more of a drawdown than there. And I've been arguing about the fact that maybe we're like this, or maybe we're in this sort of area. Maybe we're doing something like this. And I don't want to say that, I don't think we're going to particularly repeat because this is C19. So I think that's a bit of a black swan. But if we were in this area here, we got a little bit overextended from that area, let's just say. This did a 50% pullback on the way up. So it's possible we're just here and we got overextended because of the ETF and extra hype and that sort of thing. I'm not saying here specifically and we're definitely going to do that. I'm talking about it in a perspective of where we could be in terms of previous cycles. Let me just have a quick look at the BLX and let's see with some more historical data here. So if you don't know about the BLX, it's just the Bitcoin Liquid Index. It just gives you more historical data. But like, look, let's go back to this cycle, 2016 cycle even. The 2016 cycle, let's use this high, and I haven't pre-planned this, I'm just looking. There's a 36% pullback at this area here, and as I said, like, it's that range before we get the breakout. And let's have a look here, what's this cycle? And I know that the market cap was like much less back then. So it's a 32% pullback there. So like these things happen, they happen, like genuinely happen. And even here, let's have a look, this is probably more like a 30% as well. 40% pullback, 39% pullback. Yes, the market cap was smaller, etc. So don't get freaked out. That's my first point. Now we're just going to move on to liquidity. Like, we're going to talk about XRP actually quickly, and then I'm going to move on to liquidity. If we look at XRP on the weekly, the RSI is almost in the oversold area. The last time we were in oversold area for RSI was here, 29 cents. Do we come down to anything like that? I don't know. Again, this has been a range that we've been sitting in for a while. We've broken to the downside. We've had that big candle down. Price action hasn't closed yet. We're going to have to wait to see what happens in developing price action before I can make any decisions. But look on the daily and the 4-hour RSI. Daily, oversold. Last time we were at this level of oversold was when we just had that deviation wick. Will we wick back out? Again, I don't know. But it's not often we jump into this oversold area for XRP. It happens. And when it does, it normally is close to a bottom or starts to mark a bottom. So don't panic. Ethereum doesn't look too good, but similarly, the daily RSI, when it comes into the oversold, doesn't mean it's the exact bottom, but it's pretty flipping close. Look, you can see that from history. So these are the times not to be panicking like I'm talking about. And now I'm just going to talk about leverage before we go on to anything else. I say leverage, and I mean liquidity and leverage. It's the same sort of thing. Or they are the same thing. In terms of open interest. So we had yesterday one of the biggest, or the biggest on track record in Binance, liquidation events to the long side since, well, trading different tracks, and it goes all the way back to like what, August 22. So probably one of the biggest since FTX, not necessarily the biggest, but one of them. I don't want to like be factually incorrect on that. Massive amount of liquidations to the long side, but open interest hasn't really come down too much. So these are all people who were leveraged long, got liquidated in this box I'm talking about, and these are all extra people who are long, who could get liquidated. And that's what I was saying is like, let me just quickly minimize this and minimize this so I can show you guys what I was talking about. I talked about this yesterday on that double bottom. We come down into that area for Bitcoin. Now there's two things that I said yesterday. One is we could wick into here, take the liquidity, and then march on higher because there's a lot of liquidity above us. So I talked about that. And I talked about how when you do start to march on higher, the liquidity levels below you get left behind. So you see these are closed liquidity positions. These are closed leverage longs when they've taken profit. Someone's taken profit here. They're closed positions. So although there looks like there's a lot of liquidity below us, which there is, if we start to march on higher, these will close as people take profits and they win their position. That's what happens in markets. Some people get to keep their leverage, and great for them. It's a great trade. But if you start to cascade and hit stop losses, these things can happen pretty quickly. So in terms of anyone saying this is definite where we're going to hold, this is definite where we're going to reverse, this is definite anything, there's no definites yet. You have to let the markets tell you what's happening. I wanted us to see a higher low. I wanted us to hold a double bottom. And then I talked about the possibility of a flush of the liquidity. So let's see if we can get that. If we can get a strong reversal either in the next few days, or if we can cascade through the rest of the open interest and really get a big flush that we haven't really seen for a while. As I said, open interest is still relatively high. Like if we look at open interest, it's not high, but it's relatively high. And a lot of the liquidations have come from the long side. We haven't seen much short liquidations. So above us, this is all short leverage, and below us, this is all long. So that's what I'm looking for, guys. We've seen our first step. Now it's time to see what Bitcoin wants to do. We've got this liquidity below that I've put the possible question mark next to, and that's between the 46,000 region and the 51,000 region. So let's see what happens there. And then if we get that bounce and we start to come out of this zone, or we get the liquidation, I'll be looking then to go and take this liquidity up here, because as we come down, and as you can see, let me just zoom in on here a little bit. As we come down further, the late people who are short jump in. So these jumped in. So you can see these red bars. These guys only got short on the 29th of June, and we're on the 5th of July. Like, these people are all, in my opinion, they're gonna get wrecked. These are people that are short in the bottom, basically, or short in close to the bottom. So that's what I think is going to happen, specifically for Bitcoin in the short to medium term. So yeah, don't worry too much. And aside from that XRP, let's have a look at XRP's open interest. I've been looking at it this morning. There isn't flipping anything there. This is mainly spot selling for XRP, in my opinion. I've not even actually looked at the metric on that, but I can almost tell you that without looking. So let me just see if we've got... how am I going to check that? I don't know what indicator to use to check if it's spot. Let's see, maybe volume, spot volume. I don't know. Right, well, I can't see the spot volume, but I thought that I might be able to find that for you. But anyway, what I want to show you, and it's really hard to see on XRP because trading different only offers it for scalping at the minute. But this level where we're at for our leverage here, let me just get a horizontal line in. Here. You can see that our open interest is like completely flushed, basically, for XRP. All this selling isn't really on leverage at all. It's essentially just this white line is where we are for leverage, and as you can see, this is back in March of 23. The open interest is just at a super low level right now, which is great. That's what you want. That's what you want. Like, it builds a foundation. My computer won't load it now, but it builds a foundation for us to be able to move back towards the upside. We've seen some longs getting liquidated, which is this pool here, and there's a lot of liquidity above us. So they're all people holding shorts. They've had an easy ride so far, and I assume and presume, just like I do with Bitcoin, when this bottom comes in, we go and we march through this liquidity. Happens both ways in markets, always does. Don't panic, buy spot and enjoy the ride. Don't be on your phone too much if it stresses you out, because it's made me feel a bit weird the last week or two. It's just a bit demoralizing. But today, I feel less demoralized because it's finally putting you out your misery a little bit and telling you that, okay, cool, that level's gone. What happens next? And I'm showing you what happens next, in my opinion. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. And if you did enjoy or have any questions, please let me know in the comments, and share this video with someone and subscribe. It means a lot to me. I am going on holiday Sunday morning. I'm going to Europe. I don't know if you guys know, my auntie's not been very well, but I'm going to Europe because it's my partner's, it's her summer holidays. She's a teacher, and I'm going to Germany. I'm going to Amsterdam first. For a few days with Ragnar and Crypto Man, so we're going to try and make some content when we can. And then I'm going to Germany. I'm going to be in Dortmund for the day that England would be there in the semi-finals if England win their quarters. And then I'm going to visit my sister who works at Adidas in Germany. She's a fashion designer. She's in Nuremberg, so I'm going to go see her. Then I'm going to Budapest. We're driving. I'm on a low budget. I've got no cash, as I said. I'm going to Budapest to see the Altcoinist boys. And then I'm flying back to my family in the UK for 3 or 4 weeks to see my auntie who's just come out of a coma, still not speaking after having a double aneurysm. So there's that all happening. I'll be as active as I can. Please stay tuned, and I'm going to try and make YouTube videos as I go, because it's interesting price action for the flipping first time in months, just as I'm about to go away. So I want to keep covering it, and I want to help you guys out. That's what I'm here for. That's why it means a lot if you would subscribe and share. So yeah, peace up, A-Town down, as Usher would say. See you on the next one.